It's the 22nd. 28. Okay, we're live once again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to SEO UnMasked, episode number 28. Today is March 22nd, 2018. It's 6:15 p.m. here in Minnesota, and the sun's still out. Can't beat that. Glad to have you with us. I'm Garrett Groff.
I'm Vindeletto, friend of Pork Chop.
Oh boy, yes, friend of Pork Chop. Steve has gone MIA. Don't know where he went, but I'm sure he'll be back.
Steve usually has some technical difficulties with his Wi-Fi at home, so I'm guessing it has something to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Maybe he's out eating a pork chop.
Yeah. So, how are we doing with the 24 hours of SEO videos?
I uploaded a bunch of episodes. I think I stopped at you. Let me double
check. I saw mine go up. You misspelled my last name, jerk.
Did I really? I'll change that if you remind me. Yes, I stopped with Vin, and I have Trevor Trewecka. I have his edited. I just got to upload that. I can probably do that tomorrow, and then I think we'll probably skip the little segment on account management that Steve and I did. I'm not sure that was a very valuable hour. Then we just have Tom Casano, who was talking about really white hat content promotion for SEO type stuff and link earning.
Cool.
And then Lexi Mills and Ellie Bishop, and then Troy Fox. So yeah, just 3 more segments.
That was such a long day that I barely even remember all the different topics.
Yeah.
So did we get any more donations? It looks like we're sitting steady about 5,200.
Yeah, I don't think anything else really came in. So
yeah.
For those of you that haven't watched yet, if you go to 24 hours of SEO.com, 24hoursofSEO.com, you can register. You get on the mailing list, so when I do upload the last 4 episodes or the last hour segments, you'll get notified, and you'll be able to log in or whatever and see. Some presenters have a slideshow and a deck that you can download. Those are uploaded in the private area. We do encourage you to donate what you can, obviously, because you'd be spending a lot of money to see these guys speak at a conference, and most of them are speaking about stuff that they do not normally talk about. And there was a lot of good stuff that's just not generally talked about, because it's kind of the stuff, like, when you're buying training courses, all that shit's kind of usually a couple years old. This is the stuff people are doing now that works.
Yeah.
And obviously it's uploaded for free on YouTube, so take a look. If you have any extra money, buy some merchandise. I'll put the links in the description later. Yeah.
Cool. So we got some news.
Yeah, I guess one other quick news. Our case study site, the Candle site, with the few links we have built to it, I don't know, like 15 or so, just straight to link base. It's starting to stick. I know I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, but we're constantly gaining some keywords, like 10 a week, which is still super, super slow, but none of that content was really optimized to ranking. It was just link baits. So once we actually write a page and link the link baits to that page, I would think whatever we write that page for should stick pretty quickly, and we'll be generating traffic. So
cool. Yeah, me and the famous Ryu Zaki from Builder Society, we're doing a case study also. I'm sharing the link in the chat here. What we're doing is we're testing the hub and spoke model and topic modeling to see. We're basically just trying to uncover what RankBrain does and see if we can game it a little bit. So instead of doing a giant authority site where the concept is, lots of content, lots of links, builds authority, and that's why you rank, we're doing a very small 50-page or less site, but we're spending a whole shit ton of time on site architecture, on interlinking, on topic modeling, using what's called the hub and spoke content model. So I'm doing a follow along in Builder Society with Ryu Zaki, and it's going pretty well. We got the site up, and we're just working on the content. Some really low competition keywords with buying intent. So we're hoping for great success.
Cool. Should be good to help check that out. That'll be fun to tag along on.
So what's up with this search neutrality?
So Steve found this, and I checked it out briefly today. They just seem to be archiving any news that is having to do with basically Google and their antitrust stuff.
What I read, it seems like it's heavily based on what's going on in Europe, and so it's not so much stuff that's on my radar.
Right.
But it looks like the European countries are on Google's ass about.
Yeah, I saw this list of all these people. It's all, like you said, European companies, mainly publishers that obviously feel like they're being abused, I'm sure. But
it looks like the most recent post is about Google being non-compliant with something called the prohibition decision. And then they list out a bunch of specific things Google's doing with Google Shopping and their ads that completely goes against whatever this prohibition decision legislation is. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. I think a few weeks ago we were talking about, or maybe we didn't talk about that, but a few weeks ago I read that there's a European country suing Google over hiding their ranking factors, and they want Google to completely disclose what their ranking factors are officially. They're not asking for the actual code.
General.
They just want a list of what the ranking factors are.
So true or false links matter. True or false social
sure.
signal matters.
Yeah. Same old nonsense, but you know what? I think it would set a precedent if a European country was able to instill a law that forced Google to reveal some of the things that we really want to know about. So I think that might have somewhat of a snowball effect. So we'll see.
Something European related. Last week we were talking about it. I forget what the acronym, but that big data thing regulation in the EU now, where you have to be able to supply. If we have a customer or anybody that contacted us or anybody that we've done outreach to and might have their email address, we have to supply a list of who is everyone that might have saw that information, blah 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 blah, all that kind of shit. And
you have to do that?
If you do any kind of business in the EU, you have to start doing this as some sort of information protection law.
Huh.
And I think we've decided.
Isn't that just covered in your terms of service and privacy policy on the website?
Not in the EU anymore. So now we're starting to see a lot of websites are just blocking EU traffic, even if they were predominantly in Europe. Because from what Steve was saying, there's no way, unless you're a huge corporation, that you can possibly comply with this. You just don't have the resources. You can't afford to hire. If you have 100 employees, you'd probably have to hire 5 full-time people at like $70,000 a year just to catalog all this data. And then it's going to take so long. You're going to be getting fines in the meantime. So it's like, can you really afford to spend?
It's just another example of government not understanding how the internet works. It reminds me of when I was still working at a financial services firm. Towards the end of Obama's stint, he tried to instill this financial regulation on all financial services firms, both broker-dealers and investment advisors. But there's a fundamental difference in how each one advertises. And the regulation would have basically put the entire industry of investment advisors out of business based on these new advertising compliance regulations, and lo and behold, they never officially said that they're nixing the idea. But if you call the SEC and ask them about this compliance, they'll just tell you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's always crazy.
That's government for you.
Yep. And moving on to the next topic. Last week we were talking about how for some search queries there is nothing but an answer. And if you typed in what time is it in New York City, Google would just tell you the time. No ads, no organic search, no nothing. Cyrus Shepard found something where organic is totally eliminated, but now there's Google Shopping followed by Lagavulin16. I don't know if that query was supposed to be searching for a time. I'm assuming he's looking for Scotch, but
yeah,
they did a poor match of user intent. But yeah, so they answered the question they thought, and then they just served more ads.
That search wasn't repeated. He saw that in a vacuum, I guess. If you scroll down a little bit, he did the search again, and the search changed. Oh. I would imagine that. How do you say it? Lagavulin, the Scotch. Google interpreted it as a location and not a product term or an informational term. So that's probably why it searched up. But he immediately searched it again, and he got the normal search. But it is interesting.
Mm-hmm. For some reason, I thought I saw something the other night where Google had made a statement saying they were probably going to be rolling this back due to the outrage of not just like the search community, but there were enough general complaints about it. But I can't remember if I dreamt it or not. I should have saved it if I saw it, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's on one hand, it's like, okay, we're kind of parasitic off of what Google does, but at the core of their business, they can't survive without being parasitic off every other website on the internet. So it's like,
right. To me, this seems like a one-off mistake that he just happened to stumble upon. But I have seen. Well, I think we've all seen weirdo SERP results more often now, and that entire brick of shopping results at the very top in position 0 is concerning. But we'll see. This kind of leads us into the next one, which is paid inclusion. Oh, before we move on, can you drop all the links in the description because the chat links don't work at all?
Yep, I'll do that now. I just noticed that this article is 6 years old, and I don't know if Steve put it on here because it was updated.
I saw some updates at the bottom. Hang on. Oh, what the hell is that, Steve?
So I just realized if this article is truly that old, not a real reason to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's talking about Google Flight Search, which is no longer a thing anymore, right?
Google Flights is still there.
Or the Google Flight Search API was killed. Weren't we talking about that a few months ago?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think you're right. The API was killed.
Anyway, let's just skip over this. It was about paid inclusion, but it's 6 years old, so fuck that.
Yeah. Description. All right. Description should be updated.
Brian Dean on his LinkedIn profile released a video a week ago. Yeah. And once again, he's very good at making old things sound like it's a new concept. Right. He came out with his new strategy, which is basically just click-through rate, I guess, sculpting. What do you want to call it?
I didn't watch the whole video because, honestly, after 10 seconds, I thought he was going to say, I am now a paid traffic guru. And well,
there's been a black hat tactic for years now where you could pay people, a large amount of people, to click on your link to search for your keyword,
Yeah, just do crowd search.
to find your result, and click on your link, and then spend over 30 seconds on your website clicking around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been proven that this a massive amount of traffic to your site through one single keyword search in a short amount of time is going to increase your rank temporarily. But Brian Dean is putting his white hat spin on this, and showing you how to basically rank content without backlinks, content, or social shares. It's somewhat of a gimmick, but if you need a quick ranking boost, maybe if you're your content is timely and you want to be the first ranked article for a news story, this is actually an effective strategy. The long and short of it is you can use Amazon MTurk, create a little task on there, have about 1,000 people search for your keyword, click on your link, and you should see your page jump up in ranking for a few hours or maybe even a few days.
Yeah.
But maybe Brian Dean knows something we don't. I doubt it, though.
Yes. This next article is another one that gets me worked up because the title is, "Can Pages Rank on Google Without Links?" And the title enough to me should say, sure, absolutely. If you were Microsoft.com as a website, tons of fucking authority, and you release a new operating system, and that page, the marketing page for the operating system, had 0 links, do you think Microsoft.com/Windows 29 is going to outrank some dinky little tech review site automatically?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, this article was very misleading.
Yeah.
As far, the title was.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, absolutely. There are obviously way smaller cases where they go on talking about, yeah, we can rank long tail stuff without any links, and it's like, well, yeah, no shit. I mean, how uncompetitive do you want to get? But at the end of the day, can you really rank competitive pages without any links built to those pages?
Yeah, the answers were very obvious, and I think anybody that's been around SEO for a while could have come to these conclusions on their own. But the examples in the article is you can rank for long tail keywords that nobody's targeting. Okay, so that's obvious. So if you have a piece of content that's the only piece of content on the web targeting that keyword, you're not going to need a link because Google needs something to display for that keyword. The second example was in foreign SEO. In other foreign Google indexes, there's a lot less competition. So you can get short tails like Porsche 911. An affiliate site ranked with 0 keywords. But that's because the SERP itself, none of the pages targeting those keywords had any links. So again, there's 0 competition, even though there is content for the search term. If you create the best content and all the competitors have 0 links, you're probably going to outrank them. And then there was a couple others. Obviously brand terms, you're going to rank with no links. If I'm Walmart and somebody searches Walmart, I'm going to be number 1. And they had something in there like with top stories, like with trending news too. I guess if you're the first to release a news story and you're the one that breaks the story, you're going to get top rankings for that news story, which is, again, pretty obvious. But as far as for competitive terms or terms that already have thousands of people targeting the keyword, of course you need links. It's part of the marketing mix. but it's an interesting read.
Yeah,
Did
for
you
sure.
did you find this at PubCon? Were you at this panel?
No.
Or you didn't go to PubCon, did you?
Nope, no. Steve found this article somewhere. He did most of the news this week. I'm probably actually mostly all of it. He did
Yeah,
all of
it's interesting to follow what these guys from Google say, and you can probably discern some information based on what's not said.
Yeah.
But this was just completely obvious, and the title's almost clickbaity a little bit. But good read.
Yeah. This next one he had a Gizmodo article. Schools are spending millions on high-tech surveillance of kids.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed through the comments here, and I picked out this one tool called Social Sentinel, and it's fucking crazy, man. What it does is it analyzes.
If you're mentioned somewhere, it can tell you, or is that a different one?
No, it like basically analyzes students' social media activity, and if something shoots up as a red flag, it sends basically an alert to the authorities as almost like minority report, preventative thought crime type of thing. Like
something that's straight up built into these social platforms, and there's nothing you can do, or have your profile private. Is that blocked?
Let's go to the About page. Safety and security is our passion. Every aspect of Social Sentinel. What's up, buddy?
Hey. Sorry, guys. I was totally ready for the call at the usual midnight time, forgetting that you guys were on daylight saving early. So.
No problem, man. When I was on my trip last week, the day we left was daylight savings, and we crossed the time zone. So we actually missed one of our shore excursions because like the entire boat was like wonky with time. But
yeah, it's easily done. Although I haven't really got an excuse because I remembered last week, so I have no idea. I just thought, I'll just pop downstairs for a quick hour now and then come up for the show, and then came up to Garrett's message like, "Where the hell are you?" I was like, "Oh yeah, daylight savings."
That's cool, man. We're up to this Hacker News article that you found on schools spending millions on high-tech surveillance of kids.
Oh, cool.
Did you get to read into that? I'm just looking at this one tool called Social Sentinel, which looks like
that seems to be the main one. Yeah. Wow, you guys have beasted the news today. Mm-hmm. Pretty light, I guess. Some of them were pretty light stories. I guess.
We had to skip one because it was from 2012.
The paid inclusion article was back from 2012.
Oh, it was to go with the tweet, like contrasting the tweet with the story. Yeah, they weren't meant to be separate items. They were together. Oh.
But hey, so you looked into the Social Sentinel thing, this tool. What exactly is this doing?
Well, it seems to. I mean, a lot of parents that I was reading on like forums talking about it and stuff are basically forcing their kids to not use their school iPads and stuff at home because of it. So, and there's a lot of taping up the mics and cameras going on as well. I think it kind of opens. There's been various versions, but it opens any device up to a lot of snooping. It's kind of like as if the kids were employees rather than students. I thought it was kind of an interesting contrast to where the companies that you're not supposed to trust, like Google, are voluntarily turning off all their tracking and ads for their school kids products, and schools are deliberately adding in worse things and forcing the kids to use it.
So the idea is that it's monitoring students when the students are using school-owned technology?
Yeah, it's like well, I mean, these Social Sentinel people are supposed to monitor the kids on social media as well. So if they use their accounts, I guess it knows who they are then, and they can monitor them publicly on social media as well.
I had asked Vin, is this social sentinel thing that's built into Facebook or Twitter behind the scenes, and you have no control, or is it something I can just set my profile to private, and they can't do anything?
Well, you know from the news story this week that your profile being private is irrelevant. Like, not even if you like use one of these stupid tools that those researchers were using, if any one of your friends answered the survey, they got your data. Any one of your friends. So you don't even have to be the person that falls for the trick. If any one of your friends clicked the data, that UK company, Cambridge Analytica or whatever, got your data. They got 67 million Americans, and they only needed a few 100,000 to fall for their survey to unlock the rest of them. So your privacy settings on Facebook, up to Mark Zuckerberg's announcement of the supposed improvements he was going to make yesterday or the day before, were pretty much irrelevant for all of time. So
yeah, well, I mean, this tool, it seems pretty crazy. It seems like the craziest infringement of privacy, because it's basically just making its own judgment call on what these children are sharing on social media, as if they are a threat or not, and then they automatically submit a report to the institution or even to law enforcement, and the kid could have done nothing other than maybe troll somebody or said something off color.
Yeah, I mean, for what I understand, there was no. A couple of people on Hacker News were saying this. There's no evidence that they've ever stopped any crime, or that it's been effective at all. Which is kind of standard for surveillance type things. It's quite rare that the loss of privacy usually outweighs the law enforcement benefits, I guess, is the polite way of putting it. When it comes to schools, where it's not even proper law enforcement, it's just random teachers and school administrators getting this information, it seems less of a good idea.
I despise public school teachers.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I trust MI6 a hell of a lot more than I trust school teachers.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who's a school teacher watching, but sorry.
The whole idea that we give police officers guns because they go through extensive training on how to deal in a crisis.
They don't go through extensive training, but that is the idea.
Yeah, versus, and I agree with that statement too, Ben. But can you imagine, as a school teacher, I mean, you've been trained and dedicating all your time to being a good teacher. How do you step away from being a good teacher just to say, okay, I need to spend 20 hours a week for the next 5 years learning how to handle a crisis situation properly and effectively? Like,
I don't think that's the thought process of the average school teacher. I think the thought process is how do I get more control, and how do I get more power over these children, and how do I satiate my desire for power and
take their 38 special off the hip. Now here, John.
Yeah.
You better shut the fuck up.
Exactly. I think it's a rare teacher that's actually trying to progress for the sole safety of the children. It's more
I don't think anyone who thinks about things like, I mean, I'm not saying just Social Sentinel, because that was just one of the tools. I mean, a lot of the stuff they were talking about in the Hacker News discussion was, the spyware that gets installed on the mandatory iPad that your kid has to have to go to the school and all this kind of stuff. It's just way beyond what's sensible or needed, especially because you're dealing with a lot of the times young adults who haven't got the judgment yet to always do the right thing and to not make any mistakes, or it's better that they do those things in private, and there's no need for, unless it becomes a public thing, there's no need for the teachers to get involved or to be spying to that level. It's insane.
To me, it's an attempt to eliminate the naturally inherent ability the internet has to help your kids think freely, and kind of just push them towards whatever the school and the local government wants you to do.
Well, the education system's very much against thinking freely. It was originally designed because they realized that that we were going to need more factory workers, and people weren't very compliant with sitting still or doing a repetitive, boring, and pointless task all day long. So school was designed as a good way to prepare people for the life ahead of them, sitting around doing what they were told.
Yeah.
Critical thinking is pretty far down the list on things it was supposed to train kids for. So
yeah, so if you're able to basically monitor every single thing that this kid thinks or writes on the internet, you can scold him and suspend him and then push your agenda.
or if you even just don't like a Google search they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more they tighten the grip, the more slip through. They'll figure it out.
But
Well, or the more people just go batshit insane because they get so paranoid and freaked out.
yeah, it's this kind of thing that makes me really anxious about having kids, because I know if a teacher that I never met before called me in and scolded me and my child about, a free thought that my child had, I would be in handcuffs. I would not be able to hold myself back.
I'm sure you'd develop some appropriate sarcasm in your ability to deal with teachers over the years, as most parents do by the time they.
Oh man, I don't know. I do not know. This world's going to shit.
True
It
that.
is, man. It is.
Hey,
But I thought this one was particularly depressing, so.
let's jump back a little bit to searchneutrality.org, because I think, Steve, you probably had a good handle on what that's going to.
Yeah, let me just quickly pull that up again. Yeah, so I mean, the main reason I originally found it was because we discussed before the European Commission situation and their monitoring of Google's compliance. And the first article on there, the open letter to Commissioner Vestager, I thought they covered a lot of the points we were trying to make a lot better than we made it. So I thought for some of the viewers that might be an interesting read if they were interested in our discussion about what Google was actually doing with comparison shopping and why some people are thinking it's not complying with Europe's directives on it and what they'd agree to do. I think they explain it a lot better than we did. I was just doing lots of ranting about how we were saying crappy results at the top, and
it seems that the European countries are really holding Google's ass to the fire, so to speak. I mean, do you think that it's going to make a difference and there's going to be positive change as far as the antitrust stuff, or you think it's just going to get swept under the rug?
Oh, John's already on timeout, huh?
Yeah, he got put in timeout immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's frustration that Google hasn't complied with what they asked for, which is leading to more action.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, Google, like we spoke about before, I think they're going to win the case in the courts, or they wouldn't be pressing ahead with more aggressive moves. So obviously, their legal team's confident, but I guess still. I mean, I can't see it being resolved without a case now at the European High Court, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Google wants to fully back down. They've kind of complied.
I don't know if you read, a week or two back, there was an article that came out that in Europe they were either suing or planning on suing Google for them to officially release all of their ranking factors.
They didn't want the ranking factors. They wanted the entire source code of Google so they could audit it. Obviously, I don't think they expect to get that, but
yeah. But I don't think there's anything wrong with asking Google to be forthright with their ranking factors. We don't need the source code, but there's something that could be said,
Well, they're going to pretend they don't know some of them. They're going to go rank Bane, machine learning, blah blah blah, links and content, which is what they say to us all the time. It's like blah blah blah, rank brain, blah blah blah, machine learning, blah blah blah. Get some links. I mean, that John Miller chap, he always is like, yeah. I mean, there's this stuff, and then there's this stuff, and then I suppose if you had some links, that would help. It's like, well, this is useful. Thanks for the answer, John. Super deep as usual. And then he gives things like, "Oh, I know definitely 4 years ago it worked this way."
4 years
That's,
ago.
well, that's super helpful to us today, John. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll bring that Matt Cutts guy back. Like he didn't answer every question, and he sometimes deliberately didn't give certain bits of information out with some obtuse answers. But at least you knew the words that came out of his mouth were true. They would just be a missing information if he wasn't able to comment. Whereas now it's like bizarre answers with just nothing. I'm not really. It's less helpful than the Matt Cutts era, I think, in terms of what they were sharing. Matt was a lot more. I don't know. He had kind of a funny sense of humor as well. I enjoyed his.
I never thought I would say this, but I kind of miss his videos, his weekly videos.
Yeah, I do miss Matt Cutts' contribution to
the weekly Q&A.
I think he got a really unfair rap from the way the search community treated him. So we deserve what we've got as a whole, I think.
Yeah.
Because we should have been nicer to Matt when he was around instead of everyone being dicks. And now we get what we're given. Because
I thought Matt Cutts was one of the most helpful SEO instructors of all time.
Didn't he get caught taking some vindictive action against certain sites?
I don't know if he got caught. I think he openly did it and then tweeted. Did a brag tweet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's getting caught. Like he tweeted out at some guy, no footprints, eh?
Yeah. And he found it right away. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you should probably tweet at the head of web spam that you have no footprints. That's probably taking the piss a little bit too much if you've got a PBN. We're fans of PBNs on the show, particularly anyway. But definitely, if you have one, probably this new chap, John Miller. I'm pretty sure if you tweeted at him about your PBN, he's not going to think he should just do nothing. Probably the web spam team will get a copy of your tweet. Cool. They don't need any surveillance. They don't need any fancy surveillance if you just send in your own tips about yourself.
Yeah. Self-incriminating tweets.
It's like the serial killers that always leave like a clue every time because they really want the police to figure it out. But it's like, just if you want to do that, fine. Have a little footprint on your PBN and see if they catch you. But don't just like tweet John and be like, "Hey, John, how you doing? I got no footprint over here. Making bag. Screw you guys."
I think there's a wide variety of intelligence levels in the SEO community. So
that's a fair point, I think.
Yeah.
There's also varying degrees of sanity in some parts of it, but that's a topic for another day, I think.
Yeah.
I'm kicked out of all the SEO groups, so I don't get to enjoy the laughter very often.
That's so surprising to me because you were never like incendiary or like you never really stirred the pot in any of those groups.
I did.
Oh, you did.
I wasn't afraid to call people out.
The only one that I did.
I just didn't tag you in those comments.
Well, none of them were too bad, really. I mean, the stuff you were saying was just
they were truthful.
Why does your product misdescribe what you're doing?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it was just questions, but people don't like questions when they're lying because. You gotta keep the story straight if you're lying, and it gets harder and harder the more times Garrett asks you another question.
Oh well, I don't care anymore.
So Spotify got scammed, or what's going on here with Nicholas Weaver?
I was confused. Did they steal a page and they put up a fake phone number, or what?
Oh no, they don't talk about that one. That was my "don't tweet this," and you put it in the news.
Oh, okay. Well. We'll talk about that later.
Wait to the show for that one.
We have one more thing we can talk about now that I'm thinking about it. I brought it up to Steve the other day. Like when we're talking about content on a site that you're optimizing to rank, I call it writing semantically or writing naturally, and Google's good at picking up on that. Nick Eubanks has... and other people obviously have like the whole TF-IDF or whatever that acronym is. And I started thinking about links because that's what we do. We do links. And I guarantee you what I'm about to talk about, no one really talks about in the public at all. And it just kind of struck me when Steve and I were talking about it really generally that, for a long time, exact match anchor, that's how to spread power with your backlinks, use an exact match anchor. And yeah, absolutely, it worked fucking fantastically. And then I started thinking, okay, if that was the thing to do like 4 or 5 years ago when that was getting hot, is it possible now that, we've known that semantic content works fantastically? What about semantic anchor text where you're not doing an exact match, you're not just doing some random word, or everyone seems to be doing these weird branded naked URL type things for some reason that I don't understand yet, apparently, but I can't think of a good way how to describe it off the top of my head, but if you were writing about like pool tables and you were linking to a pool table manufacturer and the anchor text was something about
Big blue balls.
yeah, something like producing the highest quality felt, or like I don't know, like I'm not a good writer. I don't know how to describe this and how to put this in words, but what I ended up doing was starting to look through some of the backlinks that we've built to our own sites and how the writers, we want natural anchor text where the writer just decides it makes sense to have the link here to a site because I'm citing them and these words just make sense. This is where I would want to click if I was going to click somewhere. And maybe that Google's algorithm and document scanner is good enough to say this would be, for whatever reason, more valuable to have as an anchor text over, just pool table manufacturer or something. Because you're describing what you're actually clicking on. Like we know we're clicking on a pool table manufacturer already. That's where the link's going. And the anchor text doesn't necessarily need to be pool text or pool table manufacturer. And maybe describing the target to some extent. Which I mean, sounds obvious, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. But
no, you are. I mean, what you're describing. Well, there's a few points to make. I mean, what you're describing is just semantically
semantically related terms.
Yeah,
like what you'd include in your writing.
It's a synonym, and that's how you get around not over optimizing for a single anchor term. Is you use synonyms and semantically related keywords that have the same contextual meaning. So Google does understand that. And that's how you get a bigger anchor spread without, just having, 20% for your target keyword, and then you're going to get slapped because you're over-optimized. So that's really a great way to get around over-optimization while still...
and I think like Garrett's main point was the clickability. I think, if you have just some really, like credit card comparison site that's your anchor, it's not really clickable compared with if you've got an article about students and it's like an interesting deal for students looking to get air miles. Something that's really specific to what the article's about and what the students wanting to find out more about is going to get clicked more as well. So, the value there is higher for the immediate reader of the article as well, and than just a generic. But people go for those generic anchors so often. It's what they want. I don't just mean our clients. I just mean you do studies of sites across the internet and look at what they're doing. It's so aggressively towards these real short header anchors, and then they, instead of across the whole anchor text portfolio, then trying to mix in sensible stuff like that, they're like, oh, I better natural this bad boy up by putting in a bunch of bullshit branded ones and some naked URLs and stuff. And so you see people with some pretty weird backlink profiles that are trying to just, oh, I've got too many of these now. Whereas if they just always tried to write something that was super relevant to the article and that people would want to click, they would end up with a whole bunch of natural different stuff anyway. They wouldn't have to force anything.
Right.
And like Vin was saying, Google probably understands it anyway, so you're probably getting the full benefit of having some anchor text. Your naked URL one doesn't pass any anchor text value.
But so by anchoring the descriptive phrase instead of the short tail term in the sentence. All right. So, for example, if there's a sentence, Acme Pool Tables, comma, the creator of the best felt in the world, comma, is having a sale, period. If you anchor the phrase the maker of the best felt in the world instead of anchoring Acme Pool Tables, you're also taking advantage of that co-citational authority by having the words around your link that are also relevant to the page you're linking to. So that's actually a ranking factor that not a lot of people pay attention to. I don't know if that's it's co-something. I don't know if that's co-citational authority.
Yeah, I think people refer to it that way sometimes. It's
yeah.
I mean, Van did some tests around that were quite interesting a few years ago.
Right. So like if your target keyword is very close to your anchored link, it correlates to higher rankings or a more powerful link. So you don't actually have to anchor the short tail term.
He found as well there was a benefit to having in the same paragraph or really near your link other sites that Google views more highly than yours. So there were cases where if you're a long way behind a competitor, them being linked on the same page as you might help you more than them.
That's the official definition of co-citational authority.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
I forget what the term is for having your keyword in the same paragraph as the link to your page, but that's also a ranking factor.
Yeah.
So, but getting back,
that's kind of interesting because people are often like, "Oh, I don't want to be on this links page. I don't want to be on this roundup because one of my competitors got mentioned that week." So they're waiting around to try and sneak on to next week's roundup when their competitor's not there or whatever. But like, if you think about it, like you get on like Search Engine Land's This Week in Search, their search cap thing. There's going to be competitors that got links in there too. But if you're the small one and you're suddenly being listed a few weeks in a row on search cap alongside these much bigger competitors, it's kind of a sign to anyone that you've like a human reader, let alone Google, that you've joined the big boys and you're getting mentioned now.
Right.
So it makes sense just logically that the people who are your size but not getting mentioned there, it doesn't matter that your competitors are being mentioned, you're being mentioned there alongside people that are bigger than you. So you're pulling some of the authority of the general authority of other people being listed on that page. So
it's kind of that whole social proof realm of
yeah, I think it makes
marketing.
logical sense for that reason. Yeah.
But also, Garrett, the raw anchor text, just whatever you want to call it, the raw URL text. That's just for messing with your anchor ratios, and I think that came out of like the gray hat authority builders.
I see a lot of people doing it. I know why they're doing it. I just don't know why they're doing it because it just seems so unnatural to me to do it.
What they're doing is that they're looking at a wide variety of competitors in their niche, and then they make a niche-specific anchor profile ratio, and then they just try to match that because their thought.
If you were writing something, why would the average person ever use a raw URL for an anchor text on a link? Like, how often do you see that in the wild? Does it happen more often than I think?
Not really contextually, but they would appear maybe in citation lists at the bottom of articles, different type of lists. But contextually within an article itself, that'll look very funky.
Cool.
Yeah, it's actually something I do on some of our sites in the article. I never really had a purpose for doing this, but some articles, if we're citing sources, just get linked to in the article, or some just have a list at the end of it where it's a raw URL. So yeah, I didn't even realize that till now. But
Yeah, I mean, think of Wikipedia and their references and further reading sections. Those are all raw URLs.
I guess now that I think of it,
Yeah.
the examples I
Yeah,
see
like if you
lately,
do, if you do like a data post or an infographic on your site or something, you'll tend to just dump all the sources at the end that you
Yeah.
used as a link, won't you? It's kind
all
of
right.
like
So yeah,
they do happen in the world.
it's kind of
On stock quotes, if you ever read a stock quote or a stock update, there's usually a list of raw URLs in there
Yeah.
too.
I guess I'm just seeing some really poorly implemented.
Yeah, it's just these numbskulls use it contextually and then try to get the benefit that way. But this,
Well, it's just a matter of time thing to me then.
yeah, if Google hasn't if they're not on top of that already, they will be. But if you're smart about it and you're including raw URL anchors where they should be, then you should be fine, just like anything else.
It should be pages that people would link to as a raw URL as
Right,
well.
yeah.
Like, I mean, like I guess if it's, I mean, it'll come up in the wild, like in forums, people will just be like, oh, hey, I found this cool product here and slap a link in and stuff like that. He like Ben said, it doesn't come up in an article, just in the middle of a.
What I've seen contextually, which is kind of like on the fence, is instead of just hyperlinking a sentence or a phrase within the sentence to the link that they want to go to, they'll include the raw URL link at the end of the sentence in brackets, like a weirdo inline citation, instead of like at the end of.
I've actually seen sites where they do that for everything. Like, so everything they link to is in brackets after the mention.
Yeah, we get a lot of orders. There's this one specific template from this one specific course that a lot of my clients are a part of, and the template tells them to do that. But the idea of the template was so that you, as the publisher, can see what links are being linked to before you actually put it on your site. But I've noticed that a lot of the students don't really understand that, and they're just copy pasting it without taking the link and anchoring it on a proper phrase, and then
So that might be why I'm
what
seeing
you're
it
saying.
wild. Yeah. I see some people, they do that for everything they write, like every page on their site, like all of the links they link out to, they're linking out with the link in brackets. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's like some kind of user experience thing, so the user can actually see what they're about to click on, as opposed to just some random phrase. But I think that's silly, and I don't think that's good user experience.
I don't expect it does them any harm though, but it's kind of it looks weird to me. I don't know. It might affect, like, if you want people to click the links, it might not be a good idea. I don't know. It kind of looks weird to people.
This all just seems like so much work to me.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why Vin does the content, and we don't.
Well,
no, you mean
back in the
anchor.
client consulting days, keeping up on all this stuff, you had to do it. But now it's like being out of it for 2 years or whatever, 3 years. And the success that we're starting to have with our sites, albeit slow because we just don't have the time, it's like I'm really starting to believe treating a website as your publisher. Yeah, it definitely, if we were working on them full time, it'd still be slower than doing all this stuff. But I mean, it's like comparing it to these huge competitors that we're starting to creep up on, and the amount of links that we're doing is 10 times less. And I don't know, I think it's just a lot easier to do the logical and reasonable work versus trying to game it all the time, especially as the algorithm gets so smart. I don't know.
I watched I took part in a webinar with John Cooper yesterday, and he's saying that he's seeing more and more often. There's these new websites that are getting a shit ton of great links through outreach, because outreach is, well known now. But they're not ranking for shit because they fail at everything else that a website needs.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's people out there with big budgets that still think you want to rank for a term, you just put some kind of page up, and the copy's just not good enough.
Yeah.
So they're not going to rank. I mean, they are going to rank. With their budgets, they end up ranking because they build, hundreds of links a month or whatever. But you see some smaller competitors just taking the time and the content, and they maybe need just like 10 links to that page, and then they're on page one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always say to people, you know, even though we sell links, I'm like, look, the most important thing is your on-site. You have to have the right content. You have to have a good site structure. All of that stuff needs to be, that's your foundation. Like the links give you a little push. But you have to have all that stuff right.
It's content that accurately identifies and speaks to the intent of the keyword. It is site speed. It is topic clusters within the site. No longer can you just put one article up. You need a couple articles on the same topic that are all interlinking to each other. And I guess if you do those three things and your standard best on-site practices, you're going to need a lot fewer links than somebody that's not doing that. It's a lot more planning up front, but it's a lot less money in the long run as far as link budgets go.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Cool. So I think we're up to our main topic here, guys.
Yeah, I think so. So, Steve, you found this article from the North Cut. It is from 2015, though, right?
Yeah, they were just they were doing a promotion of it again. I think they've updated it slightly or something.
I still think it's interesting, regardless if it's a couple years old.
Yeah, they've just been promoting it again on their Twitter, and I just thought it was kind of interesting because I'd not seen it when it originally when they brought version 1 out or whatever. Of course, it's not working for me now when I'm playing with the slider, so that's...
Yeah, this is like a really wonky format.
Yeah, I think if they formatted it better, it'd be a lot easier to use, but still, it's cool to see someone actually sourcing, putting all this stuff in one spot, and then like, okay, we're saying it is likely because of this patent and this patent, or Matt Cutts says it, or someone ran some experiments which may or may not have been run right, but you know. And then this stuff is myths because John Miller said a missing robots.txt file will not penalize you or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one I spotted that kind of, they had like an outbound links thing, and they were kind of like, oh, there was a myth you shouldn't have too many outbound links, but then they say, oh, but of course it does dilute the value of each of those outbound links. So it's not really a myth. It's a myth that you shouldn't outbound link at all, but that's not what they really answer in the answer. It's like you shouldn't go and put 100 links in every one of your blog posts because you're not helping yourself and you're just sending all this traffic elsewhere. You're sending all this authority elsewhere instead of back around your site. You should be very selective about what you link to. You should only link to good sources that are actually you've actually used in your research. You should link heavily to other articles on your site that are relevant or interesting to the reader as they go through, so that they might click those and read some more stuff on your site. And you should think about the structure of your content and link related articles together so that your authority passes round. So I would say it's very much not a myth. So
their sources on this is wonky too. Like they have SERP IQ listed as a source, which is not even a company anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. One thing Brian Dean does well, I like his yearly list of ranking factors. If I wanted the actual list, I usually go to that document. Well, this is cool. It's cool. It's cool how they tag.
What's his list? Like number 1, how tall is your skyscraper?
Yeah. No, it's pretty good. Let me find it actually.
Number 2, you can rank without any links if you buy paid traffic.
Yeah. Here you go. Google's 200 ranking factors. Oh, it didn't let me add it to the chat. Edit and try again. Why do I have to edit? I don't know. Yeah, I can send it to you in Skype or chat.
I don't see anything.
There you go.
Back link, go copy message. Oh, error, try again.
It's weird. Maybe Brian paid him off, so we can't share his stuff on our show anymore.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, geez, I don't want these guys promoting me.
I put it in the description. Should be there now.
Cool.
It's, but yeah, I agree with Ben. He puts some good content out from time to time. Like all of these guys that have gone to teaching, it's never the latest stuff. But if you don't know what you're doing at all, you can definitely get some good tips from Brian. The problem is a lot of it's too much hard work. It's really not necessary. Like the whole skyscraper thing is like the example he used in the case study. It makes total sense because the thing they were skyscrapering was going to be, it was like something to do with drones or remote control planes or whatever. So obviously like skyscrapering the best review of how to fly a remote control plane or whatever was going to make them money as well as get them links. But for most people, they don't have a page on their site that by itself is going to be so important and make them money. So you're going to invest all this time skyscrapering something just to get links. It's kind of a waste of time. You're probably better off just making a few kind of good, interesting articles and getting some links to those and focusing your greater effort on your important product pages, your actual reviews and all that kind of stuff that you're going to make money from. So I think it does lead a lot of people to spend a lot of time doing stuff that doesn't really benefit them.
Yeah, the biggest low hanging fruit is just what I said before. Great content that addresses the intent of the keyword, interlink properly, have a fast site, and build good links. And I think if you do that, you're 80% of the way there. And if you need to eke out some extra rankings, you start looking into technical SEO. And if that doesn't do it for you, then maybe you can start looking into these little
putting a pork chop on the homepage.
Yeah.
I know. I'm half an hour later than you guys because I missed the start of the show. But
I got it in the first line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think though if we have to make a rule where you have to put it in one of the news segments because otherwise it's just going to be like Garrett's going to introduce himself. Hi, I'm Pork Chop.
That's pretty much what I did. I said, "Hi, I'm Vincelet, and I'm a pork chop." But
that's
friend of pork chop.
That's what'll happen to you when you go on your honeymoon. Vin. Too much good eating.
Yeah. Actually, the inclusive food on the boat was fucking awful, man. It was like bad diner food. But the specialty restaurants were worth it. But I just felt like I was in like a prison chow hall in that all-inclusive, all-you-can-eat shit.
They had other restaurants on the ship that you had to go pay for?
Yeah, it was like a flat fee to go to the other restaurants. So instead of, picking a la carte on the menu, you just like pay like $40 a head to walk in the door and then you can have anything on the menu.
So you didn't have like any of those included. They were all like extras to.
So that was all extras. So that was one of the mistakes I made as a first-time cruiser. Mm-hmm. Next time I know to get the all-inclusive deluxe package where I can go to those restaurants as many times as I want.
Yeah.
But the sit-down dinners, like when you're with like all the other freebie people, it actually turned my stomach just the taste of the food.
Just seeing those other people, yeah, I can imagine.
Not the other people.
Well, how many pork chops did you eat? That's the main question.
Actually, they didn't have any. The only pork on the entire ship was bacon and hot dogs.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't see anything else.
Giving you the quality ingredients.
Yeah.
There's your hot dog, boy. Get it down, you.
When we didn't have a reservation for a restaurant, I like refused to go back to the dining hall. So I was just going for like easy food like that, like burgers, hot dogs, shit that you can't really mess up. Maybe not the healthiest option.
I bet they tried though.
Yeah.
They did the best. Yeah, it's I don't think I could do kind of I don't know. I would find a cruise pretty hard, I think. I want to do like one of the Great Liner crossings. Like I want to go to New York on the Queen Mary or something,
Do they have
just to
good
kind of.
Wi-Fi on those things?
Well, that's why I picked Royal Caribbean, because they're pegged for having the fastest Wi-Fi at sea.
Oh.
And this is another mistake I made. It was $30 per device per day. So I purchased 3 devices, phone for me and Aaron and my laptop. And I didn't realize it until the end of the trip that they charged me for 3 devices and Aaron also for 3 devices. So we were spending $180 a day for internet. And it worked well, but
I hope you guys. I hope you guys watch lots of porn. Got your value.
Did you get service out there?
I worked the entire trip, so I put in like 3 or 4 hours a day, so it was worth it. Not getting gypped on the extra internet, but
yeah, I mean, $90 a day, it's not bad given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously he would have preferred to just pay his $90 though, not the 100.
Well, yeah, exactly. Of course. Yeah.
But Steve, it's funny that you said the Queen Mary. I was just looking into the Queen Mary as well, because they're actually the only ship in the world that allows you to bring your dog with you. So they allow 15 dogs per trip total. And, if you're a dog lover, that might be some fun.
Huh.
Yeah, they have gambling on the boat as well, I think, don't they?
I just told Garrett that I paid for the entire honeymoon playing blackjack.
Awesome.
Yeah. I fucking killed
that could have gone the other way really easily, though.
Oh yeah, my second session, I was way down, but then I just kind of like stuck to my principles and just grinded out money, little wins here and there for hours upon hours, and I came out with almost a free trip.
You'll stick to that cash money Wayne system, print the money.
What's the roulette game that we played?
Roulette.
Red Rover.
Red Roll.
Red Roll.
Red Roll. Yeah.
Oh
Red Roll.
man,
Jesus.
I hit 4 red rolls. Speak for yourself. I hit 4 red rolls out there.
Red rolls.
See, that's the only game Aaron wants to play when we go to a casino. So I was trying to show her some strategies that she could try out, but I forgot the name of that.
Oh man, it's good. It's good. You always win. Well, Garrett doesn't, because he starts doing all this like betting on black 22 or something.
Black number 24.
I read that.
That's the first trip I haven't hit for a while.
I read that the only profitable bet ever at roulette is to place a bet on a color and place a bet on a column, and then you're covering 24 of the 36 numbers on the board.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no profitable bets because of the zeros. I mean, it's just a straight.
Then you have to factor in the.
It's a straight gamble.
The return on.
It's just a straight game. Yeah, I mean, it's the only reason the red rolls just gets you a lot more playtime without because it just slows down your losing versus just kind of piling tons of money out there all over the table. Which is what a lot of people do. They try and cover like 80% of the table and hope for like the better numbers to come up. And it's like when you have a 0 or something, they lose so much money on one spin. Whereas you're doing the reds and blacks and the 2 columns and stuff like we do on the red roll, it just slows the whole game down. It's kind of just to sit there and chill and get some drinks and occasionally pick up a $300 red roll just to.
But when we played, we blew through like $500 in approximately like 3 minutes.
Yeah, you weren't doing the strategy right.
I wasn't doing it right. First timer. Anyway, that's all the news for today.
I remember we spent a little bit too much time at the bar before we went to play roulette. Then I think
I'm reading right now, like the 5 bets that are closest to being somewhat profitable. It's usually red and black or even or odd, because that's closest to 50-50, but you're only getting 1-to-1 return on your money. Number 2 would be columns. You can get 2-to-1, but you're only hitting a third of the numbers at a time, so we're getting slightly more degenerate. And then the third best would be you bet black and the third column, or red and the second column. You get 2 to 1 on your money. And then number 4 is what I do. I bet a number and then I hit everything around it.
I mean, red number 5 is the only number you can choose, though, if you bet a number.
And
because
something that you actually see quite a bit is people at casinos think when they're playing roulette, this is bet number 5. It's really degenerate. People start just putting a chip here, a chip there, a chip there, a chip there because they think, okay, I just put $20 out there and I'm going to hit one of these corners or something. But when you hit a number 4 ways, it's only 7 to 1, right? Or 8 to 1. 8 to 1, and so you're only winning $8 back, and you just bet like 20 or $30. But they get the thrill of thinking, oh, I'm hitting every time almost, so I must be making.
Yeah, when you straddle 4 numbers, you're effectively getting only a quarter of.
Yeah, so
they round it down. They round it down, so you're getting even worse odds than if you bet individual numbers. So
the straight number is 35, and then I think if you're betting if you're betting the corner where you hit 4 at once, I think that's 8 to 1.
Shitty.
Yeah. So you lose one of the points on it. So they have slightly bigger edge on the corners.
Yeah.
And obviously all these new roulette types, like rainbow roulette, where you've got all these different things you can do. Like any new bets that a casino ever adds to an existing game have worse odds than the original game.
We played a game with 3, not just 0 and 00, but there was a 000 on it.
Yeah, where was that? Was that Planet Hollywood?
That was was that at Caesars when I blew through money really quick?
No, we weren't at Caesars.
When we were with your brother, I thought that's.
No, we didn't go to Caesars. I thought we were at Planet Hollywood.
Maybe you're right. I can't remember.
Because we got tired. We got tired walking. We didn't quite make it to Cosmopolitan. We made it across the road. We were too tired to walk across the road, so we went into Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood got like $1,000 donation because we were too tired to walk to Cosmopolitan.
Let's jump back on topic here, guys. We have to reviews. You got a review here, Garrett?
No, we got Twitter #SEO first.
Oh, okay. Hey, look, I didn't prep this week, so I have to.
You're not supposed to prep it.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, this one's not too far down. My #financial situation has improved after making an #investment in gold 5 years ago. But in order to keep earning money online, I will also need better #SEO, #software so people can find my website and search engines.
Wow.
Kevin
Some smart stuff.
K-Bomb Bland at the shit SEO.
I love that guy.
Hey, remember
Best
that time when Moz raised $28 million in venture capital funding and everyone patted Rand on the back? And then we get Charles Float. Remember when I sold and bought sidebar links? I remember. Remember when I said I don't buy links? Remember Barry meme as shit?
Where are you reading this?
Ooh, on Twitter.
Oh, here's one for you, Ben. It's infographics can be a great tool to boost your website traffic and increase sales and social signals. Take advantage of these 5 hot steps to create an engaging and viral graphic for your business. #SEO. And the infographic they're showing is the Titanic. Be careful out there, man.
Yeah, this is off topic, but I had some guy email me this week saying that he needs writers for his content business, and he won't pay a penny over 1.5 cents per word. And I said,
"Wow, we found someone cheaper than us."
And then I said, "Hey, I start at 6 cents a word, so I can't possibly imagine how that would work. I'm sorry." So he instantly turns it around and goes, "Do you need writers for your team? I charge 2 cents a word."
What a fucking motherfucker.
Well, no thanks.
He's not stupid, man. He's
Yeah.
Worth an ask, man. Worth an ask. He's like, wait a minute. This guy can make some from me. Yeah, I mean, I could, it would be nice if Vin could come down to 3.5 cents a word for us, but I understand he's got a business to run over there, so it's all
Man,
good.
I don't even think I could do that for anyone at this point. It's just with all the infrastructure in the business and the employees now, it's just not happening.
No, and when you factor in rewrites and
Yeah.
all the other stuff you've got to handle, there's got to be a margin there for dealing with all the staff. So, sure, you can get writers who will write directly for you for 3.5 cents a word, but you got to manage them, or you pay someone like Vin to manage them. It's just your cost decision. It's like everything else you do in your business. You might be able to do it cheaper in-house, but then you've got your time. It's like, how much have you got? How many more managers do you need? And that kind of decision. And it's the same decision a lot of people face with links, like whether they build a team in-house or they use someone like us. It's, do they want to be a link shop as well as a finance company, or do they just want to be a finance company? Do they want to be a content business, or do they want to just be a finance company? And if they don't want to be a content business, then obviously they're going to outsource 100% or some huge percentage of their content, because that lets them focus on their core competencies, which is, negotiating insane affiliate deals with the lenders. I mean, I know from some of the big finance businesses, for example, in the UK, their competitive advantage is negotiating deals with all the providers. Like, they're not on the standard affiliate deals and all this shit.
Right.
Some of them are on pay-per-click deals. Literally, they just get paid for the clicks, so they know that every visitor to their site's worth £1 to them. So they're not on the same deals, but obviously you have 14,000 products or something to manage. That's what your team primarily is going to be focused on.
Right? Yeah, so many people think that when they order content from word agents, it's just me, and then I just give the work to a writer, and then I give it back to them. It's not that way. I have to do the administration, so there's a lot of prep work to kind of edit the briefing so the writers understand it better, and then it goes to the writer, and then from the writer.
Saying my one-word briefs aren't good enough.
No, I got on you guys enough to the point where we're good, but. You get a lot of, especially clients that are outside the SEO and digital marketing world, just like small business guys. They have no idea how to instruct a writer for their needs. So I kind of end up being the translator of sorts. And then then it actually goes to the writer for production, and then it goes to our proofreading team. And then if they paid us for keyword research or posting of the content, it goes to one of those mini teams. So, a single project touches, 3 to 5 different sets of hands before it gets back to the client.
Yeah, and I mean, all joking aside, if you're one of the smaller viewers we've got who's trying to build their own links and stuff, and you've got a tiny bit of money to spend, like you can't afford to go and spend $1,000 with us to get 7 links or whatever, but you're struggling to get links in. And spending $240 with Vin for a 2,000 word link bait is going to make your life a lot easier. You're going to get more links in because you just give him, because he knows exactly what's needed for a link bait. So all you have to give him is a title and a kind of vague idea what you're looking for, and he'll send it back in the proven format that works for link bait.
I mean, pretty much if you're not giving me a target keyword or content template, I'm creating all my articles using that link bait style, and it does really well. And you're going to rank for some long tails naturally, as with any article. But if the link bait style is really just to draw the attention of the reader within the hook, within the first paragraph. And if we do that well, you can keep them on page, and you'll find it easy. And you'll find it easier to build links to. So if you're on a real shoestring budget, but your link building's not going as you'd hope,
throwing 240 to Vin will make a big difference, because we do see it on our system stats that most of the link baits that he writes for our clients are seeing a higher success rate percentage than just random content that clients have on their sites to start with.
Thanks, man. I didn't know you track it like that.
Oh yeah, we have that for like every single site we work with. We've got the only ones we don't have it for is if someone orders like 5 links, because you can't tell anything from that smaller sample size.
Yeah.
We have it for any proper orders, like full breakdown of success rates and stuff, which the ones who are buying link baits from you tend to be our bigger orderers, because obviously they're prepared to spend the money on the content. So we get quite good data on yours usually.
Hey man, the links you've been building for my newer site, damn dude, I've got so many huge keywords sitting on page 1. It's so infuriating because I have like these, money keywords, 100,000 searches a month. I'll pop up to like number 12, and then it drops back to 22. I've got like 50 of these keywords that are just cycling on the second page.
It's such a new site though. I mean, what are we on?
Yeah.
Like month 3 or something?
We launched October 1st. So,
no, but I mean, since you started working with us, we're on like the.
Oh yeah. We're maybe on month 3 or 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
The site only has 40 referring domains, and this speaks to the power of Stephen Garrett's links. Only 40 referring domains, and we're ranking top 20 for keywords worth, hundreds of thousands of searches every month. So these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for our skin site. That's starting to pick up stuff for, like 500,000, 2,500 search terms, and we've hardly built any links to it.
Yeah, considering we have like 65 linking new domains, it's because we're just throwing in spare capacity when we've got it.
I'm super probably stupid and have this desire to compete against huge people, so it's like I'm pretty impressed that we're able to get on page 1s for some of this stuff already. And
I'm kind of annoyed though that our much easier site, the candles thing, isn't like. Why are we able to just?
Vin and actually, I had just told Vin. Actually, I was kind of thinking about it. None of that content was really written at all to rank for anything. It was just straight link baits, and there's no real content on that site that. And I was telling Vin, I think if I have something written properly that's meant to rank, and then we just interlink to it, I guarantee that just takes off.
Yeah,
I actually spoke to someone about it who runs a bunch of sites, and he was saying he's had the same experience as us, but he deduced that it was if you have an e-commerce site, Google's more suspicious of you and ranks you more slowly. He's always found when he's launched his informational sites, like our skin one, they perform really well quickly. Whenever he's trying to get an e-commerce site to rank, it takes ages by comparison, which is kind of interesting because it's really been our experience that our e-com site hasn't popped, but on paper, insanely competitive niche we've picked, but more of an information site, a traditional authority site, that's popped straight away and just started the rankings.
Well, you guys are still in that 90-day window from after you made the changes with Shopify, right? So
it's still on Shop.
Yeah, I mean, if you
messed around with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, so if you fixed whatever issue that was, you still have some time before you get that pop. But yeah, this case study that me and Ryuzaki are doing on Builder Society is going to be very telling because the keyword vocabulary list that we found and through our research, that there's absolutely zero competition. But there's good search volume for the terms. So if we do our on-site correctly and are interlinking correctly, it's going to be interesting to see how quickly.
I've been keeping an eye on you guys on that case study. You're prolifically posting, except when you had flu.
Yeah. I'm going to. We'll have an update this weekend too, because I'm going to have the first couple of articles up on the site, and I'm just interested to see how it ranks because there is zero competition. Like the main competitor has 6 links and he's ranking number 1 for for the main keyword.
Well, you don't know if he's got a hidden PBN.
I'll show you the link. I'll show you the site later.
Okay.
This is not like one of those sites.
Okay.
But we'll see.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's something I've, I was talking to someone else and he was like showing me some competitors, but he's like, oh, but all they're doing is this spam. But I think some of these people, when it's all spam, there's going to be a hidden PBN there as well and stuff like that. When someone's all in on spam, they tend to be all in. So
Yeah.
you catch them on a few tactics. The chances are they're using the other 7 as well. Like it's just, and everyone's into, and it's Ahrefs doesn't make a huge effort to uncover PBNs. Like if you're deliberately blocking Ahrefs bots and stuff like that, they don't really care.
No, especially after they've made another separate database of sites that they know are pure spam. They won't even include them in their index.
Yeah, and they're actually now deliberately not trying. So
yeah.
The trick, you can find the PBN links using Google, unless the PBN is no index, but they're usually not. All you got to do is you search for the target URL, and then you use the negative site operator to remove the actual target URL. And so the results you'll get are all the pages that are actually linking to that target URL. So that's a good way to find PBNs.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, you could also use like some some lower quality link tools that have their own link graphs.
Higher quality if you're using them for this purpose.
Yeah. So if you have the budget to sign up for a bunch of different link tools.
I need to force myself to start using Majestic so that I can stop mentioning Ahrefs on the show. They're dead to me now. As soon as we can, to be honest, the clients seem to love the Moz Majestic combination metric a lot. So I'm pretty confident we can just drop Ahrefs completely at some point, just because they've angered me.
I kind of like the new reports, man, because I think that the 3 metrics compared to the just 1 gives you a better understanding of not only the metrics but the power of the link too. So I actually think that was an improvement over your old reports.
One thing we have to be careful with, and it's something we're tightening up on, is the Ahrefs. If we keep Ahrefs going, we are going to keep playing around with where the levels are. I just wish they would stop tweaking it so we could come to a definite decision. Because one thing Ahrefs has always been better at than Moz is like ranking the sites that are marginal, and Ahrefs is better at picking those out slightly than Moz and Majestic. But when they keep changing the numbers, knowing where the threshold is much harder than it used to be. And the old thing, if it was DR 33 plus, and we played around with where we were going to pick, we guessed 28 to start with, but we weren't happy with the report, so we moved it to 33 for our standard package after a few months of playing with it. You were pretty confident that the other metrics that people would look at would be good too. So they'd look at it and it would rank for keywords. And since they've changed it, and they keep tweaking it, it's just been impossible to figure out where that line now is.
Well, they keep manually adjusting sites on a site-by-site basis, and so
which is just dumb.
What is the point of having an algorithm if all you're doing?
What Ahrefs is doing on a site-by-site basis, they're
don't you
adjusting
those threads where I was chewing out Tim and he was asking
the domain rating or the Ahrefs rank.
Both. Whatever they feel like.
I thought that they solidified that.
No, they haven't finished changing it. I had someone, I sent them a report on a Friday. By the time he looked at it on the Tuesday, he's like, oh, all these DRs are higher now than they were when you did this report. And this was like a month after their last blog post about it. So they're supposed to have been finished. And between a Friday and a Monday, like all these DRs were different. I was like, well, I'm glad they look better now, but we're kind of ignoring Ahrefs until they settle the fuck down. I mean, it's just...
The new site went from 27 to 4 to 11, and now it's like at at 14 or something like
Yeah, I
that.
don't even know what ours are now. It's just like, oh, Jesus.
Steam sites 10. Somehow our office related sites 28.
Oh, that has some amazing links. That's why, because we did a really good link bait for that to do with office bullying, and that got some amazing
health
links.
Insurance is 15. Mortgage sites is 6, but that outperforms the. That doesn't matter because the health insurance site is so.
That has better content. The health insurance site was my pure spam site from back in the day. We have 80 hours of work to do on that bad boy before we can do anything with it.
Yeah.
That has our news site.
Yeah, our good actual publicly disclosed site. That's a DR30, and that only has 49 links to it.
Man, once I get done,
it has search engine land and stuff like that linking to it. Yeah. That helps.
Abby's almost done with our CRM, so once I get that up and I get the team trained on how to use that, I'm finally gonna have time to actually like start doing some technical SEO on my sites, and I just have no time. I'm ranking for my money keywords, and I just haven't had the time to add affiliate links to the pages. Like, it's just that bad. But
we're actually switching to your system for managing the writers. This thing where they get to claim what they want and stuff isn't working out for us. So we're going to be doing what you're going to be doing.
No longer a fucking democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
they're going to get given a batch of work and they're going to do it, or they're going to leave, and that's it.
Well, that's not my system. My system is really just understanding the personality of each of the writers. We know that some certain writers are good at some things and others not so much.
And things they're not good at to do, and then fire them if they don't.
Eventually, I'm going to go, take that to the next step, and I'll have.
Your new system's going to work where you're going to get an order in, you're going to tick them and say allocate to Chris, and Chris is going to get them. Yeah. So we're moving to that as well.
Right now, we have the account manager role, which right now is me, and then I get the orders, I get paid from the client, I invoice the client. Then I assign the project to a content manager, and then the content manager has their team, and they can assign the individual articles in an overarching project to individual writers of their choosing. So it's very granular in that sense, and it gives us a lot of control.
Yeah, I think that's it's a really good idea. I mean, since you've been working on your system, we've been thinking about it a lot, and it's kind of come to a head because we have to do some stuff in-house because we have various tiers of product. Like the premium product, we can afford to send the writing to Vin. Mm-hmm. On our cheapest product, which a lot of the small site owners order, I mean, very few agencies order it, or very few big businesses. If we've got the head of SEO contact somewhere, they always order the premium. But most small site builders and independents, they want our cheapest product because a tighter budget. On that one, we need all of those articles and all the work to be done in-house. And I think, how do we manage this more efficiently? And obviously, learning from what actual content businesses is doing makes a lot of sense to us because you guys deal with it at a scale that's much bigger than us. The amount of content you do and stuff. So learning from things that you've done on purpose is a good idea for us. I think.
It seems like a lot of content businesses, some competitors, some kind of like off my radar, unless they're a marketplace like TextBroker or iWriter, they have a real difficult time of figuring out how to take in their orders, onboard the project, and also disseminate it to their team. I've done a lot of testing, I guess you would say, over the years, and this is really the best way to do it. But getting the client to understand what's actually going into it is kind of difficult, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Well, let them try working with TextBroker for 6 months and then come back.
Yeah, so, I don't understand why TextBroker is still so popular. I mean,
I don't think it is as popular as it.
No, they have no writers now. We we had like I can't remember how much it was, $140 left over on Text Broker. We tried to get rid of it, and I think there's still like Garrett's still like waiting for shit to come back. Like they have no writers now.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you wait 3 days just for the article to get picked up, and it gets picked up by somebody that doesn't want to do any work, and they're just like doing the bare minimum. Then you reject it, and then you have to wait another 3 days for another writer.
We're up to 3.5 weeks now to get $140 spent.
Yeah,
I mean it's like what? Yeah. Like I mean, we just sent Vin like $800, and it'll all be written and back in like 3 more days now or something. Yeah. It's like, I mean, come on, get me my work back, people. It's like
my problem right now is I'm not able to find enough quality writers fast enough.
We're in the same boat.
Yeah, everyone's in the same boat, man. That's just the game, I think.
These days we're doing a lot of custom teams for enterprise clients and bigger businesses, and not so much the affiliate SEO stuff anymore. And you know, these guys, they want 5-10 writers on their private team, so I got to go out and find them, and it's just it's tough. I think one of my next hires might just be like a writer acquisition specialist, you know, and all they're going to do is just hire writers and manage them.
Yeah, Garrett just got done training our head editor to do that.
Yeah.
It's a big job, and yeah.
Well, it just makes sense for us because I am not a great writer and I'm not an editor. So all I was really doing was, you know, I'd read the applications and I would be doing the, you know, back and forth between people. But it's like, why? This just doesn't make sense where she's going to be the one working directly with them. She should, you know, it is just obvious that it makes no sense for me to be involved in this process. We trust her to make the right decision, so here you go.
Is she a true editor, or is she more of a proofreader that just manages? Because I don't have a true editor on staff. I have proofreaders, which is two different things.
I mean, she would like to edit everything perfectly, but we discourage her from doing it because we'd rather she just threw it back at the writer and said, "What the hell is this?"
I looked at the cost for that. To bring in a real editor that's going to do a line-by-line edit and go through several revision rounds, I'm adding at least 5 cents per word to my cost.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, so it's
hire someone in the UK.
No, I've interviewed several people, and the cheapest viable solution would be like an extra 5 cents on what I charge to the clients. A real editor would be great for, you know, a single website, you know, a single publisher that, you know, they understand the style of content and they're only working on one website. But to do it for the content creation agency, it's gonna, you know, we're gonna have to be taking on some bigger clients with bigger budgets.
I don't know. I mean, I think what you're looking for isn't someone who, you know, thinks they're an editor on day one. You're looking for just someone who's a really good writer, because like I'm not a great writer even. I'm decent. But when I got started in this industry, I was doing I had to do like all the jobs at one of the agencies I was consulting for because they were paying me a lot of money to fix their processes. So I had to do all of the jobs for a month first before taking over managing the team and fixing everything. So I did the editing for a month, and I've got a good feel because I'm a salesperson and I've always thought about how to word things. I've got a good feel for when a sentence just doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So you need someone who just has that good feel, and they don't necessarily need to be someone who's charging you 5 cents a word or whatever to. Well, I know they wouldn't be charging like they're 3 cents a word and you're charging them at 5 or whatever. It doesn't need to be someone who's that expensive per word, because I'm 4 seconds into looking at the article and I'm like, yeah, no. And then I'm, 2 minutes later, I've sent the writer their feedback to fix it.
Yeah. I found just like somebody with that level of insight is probably not going to be working for me anyway. They can be just working for themselves or working for a larger company where they get a big old salary.
There's a lot of really good writers who are kind of burnt out on mashing the keyboard.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point too.
And they can be transitioned into editors because sure they made
This is
slightly more
Mr.
writing.
Groff in the basement room. I'd like to have
But,
an order for room service.
What is going on right now?
Garrett's ordering room service.
Whatever you made's fine. 1 minute? Okay, thank you.
All right, guys.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who would like to transition, and sure, they might leave in 2 years or 3 years because you've given them the experience to then go and charge someone 5 cents a word. But there's a lot of people who, like the best writer we ever had, I convinced to quit her job as a nutritionist to come work for us as a writer, as a health writer, because she was sick of being employed.
There you go.
So getting, like they said on the Untouchables, if you don't want a rotten apple, then pick one from the tree.
That's what I did for my new team leader. I've got 2 new team leaders. So we're moving away from just one giant content manager who's overburdened with 80 writers, and we're going to break that down into smaller teams of 5 to 10 writers. And then my content manager will be in charge of all the team leaders. So that seems to be working out well, and that's going to help us scale real fast once we get the CRM going. But let's wrap up, guys. I think we're pushing 2 hours here. Do you want to do your review there, Garrett?
Yeah, sure. Really quick. Buddy John from last week turned me on to MyFitnessPal. Go to myfitnesspal.com. It's a calorie tracker. It's really cool. You can put the app on your phone, so like even when I'm having a beer, I just go in the app and it screenshots the barcode thing, enters the calories and shit. Really simple, lazy man way of counting calories and count sodium, which apparently I'm eating like 6,000 milligrams of sodium a day, which is probably not good. So I got to work on that. And then actually, the reason I wanted to review it. It's free, and you can buy some premium shit that no one needs to buy, but just by actually watching what I'm eating, saving a lot of money, not eating out gas station food nearly as much, and I would guess a lot of SEO people probably have the same bad habits as I do.
What the hell's gas station food?
Well, so the new thing in America, or maybe in the Midwest specifically, is...
No, we have it too.
You can go and get like cheeseburgers for $1 and...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, dude, like
yeah.
Well, that sounds exactly like how it is. Yeah.
It's when you go to the Wawa in Philly, Steve. You ever go to the Wawa gas stations? It's the same thing. It's like a mini mart at the gas station.
Oh.
But I've used MyFitnessPal for a couple of years now.
Oh, here's room service.
Is here.
Do I owe you a tip? Well, thank you for the quick service.
That's a good gag that's got to be a weekly gag, man.
Oh, that's really...
Yeah, MyFitnessPal is great. I started seeing a nutritionist because I have diverticulitis. So, needed to get my diet in check. And there's actually a feature that your nutritionist can log in and track with you. And she actually showed me some good data that said that just journaling your food every day leads to instantly 5 pounds of weight loss.
Yeah. In the first 10 days, I lost 5.5 pounds.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So great little tool. I think it's one of the most popular out there for calorie counters, but definitely good if you have.
This sounds really depressing.
What?
Counting calories and.
Honestly, up until lately, I would have the exact same mentality about it, but now it's like losing weight. I'm actually saving a fuck ton of money on groceries because, okay, I can make this meal like this pot roast and be eating healthily, And it's actually like a 3-day family meal instead of Garrett stumbling upstairs and eating the entire fucking pot roast in one sitting. And that was like 8,000 calories or something. And now I've made food for 3 days, and it's awesome. I just like
You didn't eat 8,000 calories in one meal.
You want to bet?
Actually, no.
I mean, there was one time I ate half a loaf of bread, a stick of butter, a 2-pound beef pot roast, and some carrots. And
I'm pretty sure that Italian meal we had at the Venetian was like several thousand calories.
Yeah.
Just the amount of cheese that was in that meal was like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
I just got speak of the devil, I just got an email from Google with the subject line, important updates about the General Data Protection Regulation.
That's going to fuck that so badly.
Man, I'll show you this after the show. This is crazy.
Yeah, that GDPR is insane. I was going to say, Vin, you should have a word with your nutritionist. You say, look, my buddy Steve tells me all of you people hate your jobs. Do you want to be a writer? You'll make more money as a health writer.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I was saying before. Once things settle down with the new infrastructure, we're going to move towards niche-specific and expert-level writers. And that'll be our premium product if you want an expert level, and we'll be charging 15 cents plus per word.
You're not moving me off the 12 cents rate for that stuff.
No. all of my co-promotional buddies get very good rates.
Yeah, so jump on now if you want these. Then order them now while he's still charging 12 cents a word for that research content, because apparently it's going up by a not insubstantial percentage to 15 cents a word.
We have a couple, maybe 4 or 5 clients in the 15 to 20 cent per word range right now. But we do a lot of work. There's a lot of administration, a lot of upkeep and boarding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same. We give people the option, like, our standard pricing includes this. If you want these extras, then we'll do them, but they can't be free because, the original product was priced correctly for the amount of work.
Before I forget, the person I have helping me with our internal site work, managing all the content and stuff, I made her watch your video from the charity event, and she was very impressed. She's been a writer, she's done editing, she's on our outreach team, and she was very impressed with what you put together. Even coming from someone that's moderately experienced in content planning and articles and stuff, the amount that she learned. So if you're a newbie watching this, it's going to be fucking fantastic. Vin's clip from the 24 Hours of SEO.
Oh, thanks,
yeah,
man.
I think the best thing about Vin's was it was so step by step. Like, a lot of the other stuff was very theoretical, which was amazing. I mean, I really appreciate all the speakers who came on, because I know some of them shared stuff that they don't share at conferences just because it was a charity event. Like, Nick has barely spoken in his career, Nick Eubanks, and he took the time out of his day whilst merging with 2 other agencies to come and support charity and share a presentation that gives me a headache when I rewatch it, let alone the first time when I was tired. But I think Vin's was, from just a practical, if you want to just have a step-by-step thing to improve everything you do content-wise, it was one of the better actionable presentations. So
Hey, so maybe I can get a better time slot next year. What do you think?
No, we don't get a good time slot. We're the organizers. The valued guests get the good time slots. You suck it up.
Yeah.
Although I think, given how tired I was after being awake 22 hours, it was a mistake to. But luckily, the wonderful SEO community donated us some random agency owners to have a kind of informal agency owners forum instead of my presentation, because there's no way I could have got through it at that point. But yeah, that was really cool. I think we should do that again. I think
what we'll do next year is the 3 of us will take 2 4-hour shifts each.
No. I'm doing the whole 24 again. The whole reason it raises money is because someone's up for 24 hours. The fact that there's 24 random speakers and a couple of people doing 4-hour stints is not
All right.
I think that I think there should be better organization of the breaks. Like we were kind of rushing our breaks too much. I think between the three of us, we can have a solid hour's break here and there. But I think we have to do the 24.
Honestly, for me,
that's what.
Just me personally, like staying up for 24 hours isn't a big deal. Just all that shit happened like the 2 days before. So I was tired, but for me it's not a big deal. But I understand for a lot of people it's just they're not used to it.
For sure.
Well, I mean, it was the amount of information. Like you.
Well, yeah, I had to rewatch everything because I don't remember anything.
Yeah, it's like you think it's going to be easy because you can stay awake 24 hours no problems if you're just like hanging out playing some darts, shooting.
I think I made it to like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I just got like the shakes because I was so tired, and I slept, and I when I checked back in, you guys were just wrapping up on the last one.
Yes, when I say I'm used to staying up for 24 hours, please do not do what I do. It's not good for your health.
I tell you what, though, we got really lucky on the people that we had on last because it was real quick fire stuff.
Yeah.
Like the last couple of presentations were really like just bang, 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 bang. So we were pretty much at the end of our powers. And
insanity.
It was quite easy to stay awake through those last couple of hours because they were so quick fire. I guess I'll do my don't tweet this quickly. So I guess the link's in the description and chat, whatever. So Spotify is one of, like most internet companies, is very proud of not having any kind of way to contact by support or phone. It's the kind of thing you do. Moz tried it for a while and changed their mind. So someone thought it'd be quite funny so like most sites, they have a search and it will generate some kind of, if the search isn't done like purely on JavaScript where it doesn't change the URL, most sites that have a server-based search, it'll generate a URL when you type a search query in. Mm-hmm. So they typed in Spotify phone number, Spotify blah, 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 and then put a fake phone number in. And it generated a search results page on the Spotify website for that query. They then built loads of links to that query page, and it ranks as a featured snippet on Google for Spotify phone number because there isn't a better result. And I don't tweet
Did they
this.
Use Spotify's real number?
No, it's a made-up number. They don't have a real number.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe someone found.
Wait, so how?
I mean, they have to have a number. They just don't.
Oh yeah. There isn't one that you'd get an answer from, like properly.
Yeah. Like
so what do they have to do? They have to go in and no index that page, or can they just delete that page out of their system?
They'll go to Google Search Console and you can manually de-index. So what they'll do is they'll probably do the sensible thing and de-index their search results pages.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't be indexed anyway, and you can do that on the Search Console, and then they just got to fix their robots.txt.
Well, that should just be done in robots in the first place. But that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
you got to imagine how much time these people have in their days.
So I don't tweet this for this. So how do you think you could use this for reputation management? So you want a page on a really authority site that's going to rank for the thing you need. And what people used to do was university websites quite often have this exact same search feature. Very, very authoritative. So if you need something to rank for Vindiletto suddenly, you just go and bang a bunch of searches in on the university websites, Vindiletto professor, and then you link to those bad boys, and they pop in the search pretty well.
Yeah, but to be clear, there's no actual content on the page. You're just getting a...
Well, no, but the whole point of reputation management is just to put stuff on the first page, your bad news. So that used to be done for reputation management. I'm not saying one should do it because it may fall under some computer misuse laws in some states, particularly, which state was it we spoke about the other week? Was it Texas or Colorado? I can't remember. One of the kind of middle southish states anyway, but my geography's great, guys. But wherever it was we were talking about, there was like a state where they were changing the law to be really like you might be in violation of some computer misuse rules in some states and some countries, stuff like that. So I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying, so don't tweet this. People have done this for reputation management. I've seen it in the wild, and it works really well.
Cool.
Most universities, because it became a thing, like everyone was spamming their searches, most universities have fixed this now, so it's not going to be indexed, but you will be able to find people like Spotify who haven't fixed it. So if it's legal for you, where you are in your jurisdiction and you feel comfortable doing it, then it may work for you.
Time to look at every university website in America and get going.
Yeah, find some. Yeah, there'll be plenty of opportunities for you boys. Enjoy
There used to be a black hat tactic, and it was like on like the National Weather Service site or these. They were called like dynamic link injections or something. Not the hacked links that we do now, but if you could append. You could do a search, and a page would be generated dynamically. To display data based on your search query, but on certain websites, you could do these searches by entering your URL, and your URL would show up on the page as a clickable hyperlink, and the page would return an error because it couldn't do anything with that data, but you now have a link to your site on like a .gov or a gigantic website like that. So a lot of shady business out there.
Wow, two don't tweet this is on the same tip. I like it.
Yeah, I never actually did that.
So you didn't.
But I have seen it done. Anyway, I think that wraps us up, right, guys?
I believe so.
Sign us off there.
All right. Well, like Ben said, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back next week on the 29th, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know when Steve switches back to 6 hours ahead of me, but hopefully he'll remember. And
yeah. Well, I'm 1 for 2. That's good, right? I mean, like baseball, they bat like 0.3 or whatever. Like I'm batting 0.5. That's pretty good.
There you go.
Smash that like button. Email Steve all your SEO questions and the word of the day.
Yeah, I didn't get anything this week. This is the first week for ages. I haven't got any stupid questions or anything fun. Like, get me some, send me some fun stuff at SD Brownlee on Twitter, LinkedIn, message me on Builder Society. Send some crazy shit over for me to check out, and I'll answer it on the show.
We're gonna start promoting the show again. I think we had a little, we took a little downtime after the event, but now.
Yeah, well, I think we didn't. I don't know about Garrett. I really didn't feel like talking about SEO to anyone. Like I haven't posted anything proper on Builder Society since we did the 24 hours because I can't even. I like go to like look at the keyboard and type something SEO related, and I just kind of
I've been doing this for 14 hours.
Comes up in my
yeah.
I've done all my 24 hours of talking about SEO in one go, but I feel like it's worn off now. I'm covered.
Yeah, we're remotivated to share some knowledge here.
I think what we'll do next year is like January and maybe the first week or two of February, there'll just be no show so that we can just do the 24 hours and have a break from the show because it was kind of hard to get back into the show after doing the 24 hours. And there's so much content from the 24 hours to go up on the channel anyway. You guys are going to get loads of stuff to watch no matter what. So
you can't get it on the channel. You have to register on 24hoursofseo.com, and then you get the video.
The people who are watching know that they can get it on the channel. The people we promote it to elsewhere, we try and encourage them to register. But then they get the slide decks and they get the exclusive content and stuff. So it's worth registering anyway because we'll send you all the slide decks and stuff. But
cool. Yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah,
well,
next week.
See you next week, guys.
Take care.
Later.